Hi class, my name is Ijoma. So we're concluding to the end of our semester, and I must honestly say this class was very essential in my life because not only did I learn so much about trauma, but I also learned that takes a lot of patience. Trauma victims take a lot of patience, and understanding the approach towards somebody who has experienced traumatic events is also a key element. I will be discussing what trauma is. I will be discussing it to a 24-year-old lady who has experienced trauma in her life. Um, Hypothetically speaking, she's having sort of like a delayed response. She's 24 years old right now. Let's call her Beth. And Beth was involved in a car accident at the age of 12. She was there with her younger brother, who was at that age 7 years old. Unfortunately, her mom and dad were killed in the motor accident by a drunk driver um, who was at the age 21 and was sentenced 5 years in jail. Beth is now 24 years old, and she happened to go to a supermarket and happened to see the guy that was responsible for the death of her mom and dad. Every Sunday, Beth goes to the grave site and she pays her respect to her mom and dad. She stays there for about 2 hours. She I want to say, sort of lost communication with her brother, although they lived two houses down from each other. Beth has decided that she no longer wants to be in communication with her brother because her brother has stopped going to the gravesite with her every Sunday. Um, Beth is now interested in committing suicide. But before she commits suicide, she has the thought about actually placing some sort of harm towards the guy that is responsible for killing her mom and dad. Um, as we learned in this class, trauma can affect anyone. The reaction is not limited. Somebody can be affected, can be abused today, excuse me, and respond to the reaction a year from now, 2 years from now. The behavior change. People are noticing that they are no longer open to communication. They have decided that they were going to be isolated. They no longer want to be in a social gathering. There are different types of trauma. So what is trauma? Trauma is a reaction towards a distressing experience. So in Beth's case, her traumatic event was being included inside the car accident and being a witness to her mom and dad um, dying in the car accident. Um, the body is responding. According to Beth, she has seen a psychiatrist. She has been going towards some counseling. But her ultimate trigger was when she encountered the drunk driver at a supermarket. Um, so, Beth, it is a pleasure meeting you. How are you today? Good. I'm so happy that you were able to make some time out to come and see me. I did read up on you. I spoke with your brother, Um, and during our last meet, we didn't get to speak that much because, you weren't open to talking with me. I hope today you're in a much better mood. Great. Um, I just want to ask you a question, and just understanding how you have sleepless nights, you are no longer eating, you're not thinking about harming yourself. Not only are you thinking about harming yourself, but you are also having the thought, the notion to place harm on the individual that brought harm to you. Is that correct? Great. Do you know what trauma is? Good. I'm glad that you do have some sort of idea of what trauma is. But trauma is a reaction to an event that have occurred in our life that our body is reacting to negatively. It can be in the form of shock. It can be in the form of sleepless night. It can be in the form of crying every now and then, unknowingly, not understanding why we're crying, but it is a reaction to our body. Do you know that? And okay, great. Excuse me. And so, understanding that it is an emotional response, how do you think that you are doing in regards to your traumatic experience? Good. So if I was the guy that caused this much harm to you, what would you say to me? I want you to look within yourself right now and tell me what you would say to me. You can feel free to say whatever you want. You will not be judged, but I do want you to take a deep breath and explain to me what would you say to me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Beth, I do want you to understand that I understand everything that you're saying. And because of our traumatic experience, our body just reacts. Like it just shuts down who we are as a person and it just takes over. Do you understand that? And I want you to understand that your 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 chain of events is not your fault. And I don't want you to feel like you were abandoned. I don't want you to feel like you're alone in this world because you're not. Being in a traumatic experience is not easy. And your reaction is totally understandable. But know that suicide is just not the answer. If you're open to it, me and you can come up with different tools that we can use to just manage how we are feeling. I'm not gonna tell you that it's gonna go away because obviously I don't have the power to tell you that it's gonna go away. But what I can tell you is that if you are open to the treatment that we have in place, there's a very huge chance that you will be able to live a normal and productive life. And I know your parents will be very, very proud of you. Yes. So how do you feel about knowing, learning more about what took place with you? I mean, because we can use that as a safety mechanism to work towards assisting you and going through your day-to-day activity. Are you open to that? So what did you learn so far about trauma? Tell me. Repeat everything back to me. Let me know. So if I see anything, I hear anything that sounds a little bit off, then I can just help you get back on place. Yes, yes. So as you stated, Beth, and I just want to say great job. Um, Trauma is an experience that we go through that's unexpected. Um, in your case, it was a car accident that took the lives of your parents, but trauma can be a natural reaction, a natural disaster. It is a natural reaction. It can come in the form of something real bad like rape, an accident, and anything that is so negative that's totally against your expectation can be considered trauma. You know, people that go off to the war, It's if their first time going to war, first time holding a gun and shooting a gun and accidentally killing somebody that they didn't intend to kill, that's a traumatic experience. It is an unexpected event that takes place in our life that holds negatively to our response in our body, and that's what trauma is. Um, Now, how you tend to, treat yourself with the trauma is just something that you and I will have to actually work on. And Beth, I really do see potential in you, and I know that you wouldn't want to do anything that will make your mom and dad to feel bad and say, "Oh my goodness, we left our daughter and she's just not able to cope with the situation that's at hand." And write down how you feel. Talk about it. Do you have a close friend? Do you have a cousin? Do you have anyone that you feel comfortable enough that you can talk to about how you feel? Because that's another way of coming to terms with what took place. And I know that you were only 12 years old and you're 24 now, but um, it's trauma's reactionary. It just happens. Your body just takes over unknowingly. Um, and I'm glad that you were able to understand at least what's going on within you that's making you to react. Um, Due to the trigger that took place when you saw the guy that is responsible for um, killing your parents. We're going to meet again. We're going to go into details more. I want you to have a detailed statement about how you feel whenever you think of the guy, or what happens again if you see the guy, and then we're going to work on some coping mechanism that will enable you to be able to live functionally and positively in the midst of someone who has hurt you so much. Um, so that's just that. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to learn so much about trauma and all that trauma has entailed, and the different levels of trauma, and how somebody reacts when they have experienced some type of trauma. Understanding that you have to be patient when dealing with a traumatic client, somebody that has experienced some type of trauma. Just understanding the different approach. Not all approaches are the same when approaching someone who has the experienced trauma, because what I can take from trauma, another person will never be able to take, and that's just life. Um, Understanding denial, the shock, um, the anger, the anxiety, the feeling of abandonment that the person has experienced in trauma. All those things are all attachments to what trauma is, and dealing with somebody who has been affected by trauma. And like I said, it can happen to any of us, anyone. Nobody can really escape trauma. It just happens unexpectedly. Um, so thank you so much.